Welcome
back.
back.
We're
We've had
back.
so much fun.
So much fun.
Yeah, today we have Karen Crawford MD, who's actually our favorite astrologer, our Wholeness Network astrologer, and really wanted to talk good behind her back really fast. So
Yes.
I would say for me, I just think she's one of the smartest people I know.
Mhm.
Not that I feel dumb when I'm around her, but yeah, I really trust her knowledge.
Yes. Yeah, because she teaches. She's a teacher, as well. She knows how to, she wants to teach you. She wants to expand your knowledge, and I really appreciate that. And I have just loved learning some astrology from her because it just makes it so fun that she is having almost this second life, in a totally different world. I just admire it so much. So let's bring her on. Let's bring Karen on.
Hey.
And hi,
Hi,
Karen.
How are you
welcome.
guys?
Great. We're so happy to have you here.
Thank you for
Yes.
having me.
Yeah.
All right. Well, a question that I promised my husband I would ask. This is the question. He's like, I don't know if I'm going to be able to be there. So I said, I will ask it to make sure. So this is his question. If you could take out an entire page ad in the New York Times, what would you want to say on that? Because he was saying, like, you have so much knowledge. What would you want to share? What would you teach us? What would you decide we need to know? This is a hard question.
That's a really hard question. Way to start the toughie. No kidding. I think what people really need right now is a remembrance that the chaos around us can happen, and it's going to happen, because I know we are definitely living in an unprecedented time, no question, but I think every generation's probably thought that on some level.
True.
But the real trick is to go within and find that peace, connect to the light that's in there, the love that's in you. Because I've always admired the Buddhists, where they're like, you have an expectation, doesn't happen, disappointment, right? So I think for us to find ways in our own daily life that we can create that peace within. And I used to study shamanism with Jan Engel Smith, and she tells about this one shaman who went to this huge fire that was happening, and all these people went to try to help. And this one shaman put up a tent, went inside her tent, and just did this inner work, and like the fire went out because like she quelled the fire within, kind of a thing. And I know this sounds completely airy fairy, whatever, like what
We'll take it.
You're in the right spot.
Yeah.
If each person swept their own front doorstep, the whole world would be clean. That idea. And so I think the more, I feel like a pendulum swings often, and that's just the way the world goes. But this is an amazing time. The more chaotic it feels, the more it's like, what the hell's going on? That we can come back to ourselves, have a community that we can connect with that helps us remind each other, because we all have our moments, right? Like, oh my gosh, this happened. It's like, you need that listening ear, you need that care. And then we can self-care, all that kind of stuff. So I feel like coming within, centering is what I would take the New York page ad on, because it's the more people freak out, the more that we do these things, spin our wheels. I hate you. I hate you. How's that helping anything? You know what I mean? So coming back to love.
I like that. The remembrance word really gets me, because when I had my birth chart done by you, I don't want to take words out of your mouth, but you said you kind of pick what you want to have happen, and the angels push you off at the right time, so the stars are aligned, and then you get to have that experience. So how do you help people find that remembrance and sweep their own porch?
Okay, so I'm going to give a plug for my current astrology teacher, Michael Bryan. He wrote this amazing book, The New Western Medical Astrology. The very beginning, he talks about back in the day when there was a tribe and a baby's born, and they sing this song to the baby. And then maybe later on, something bad happens. They like steal an apple or something, get in trouble. The tribe circles around that person and they sing that song, and their soul remembers. It's like, you're better than this. We got this. Just do better. You know what I mean? So astrology is a way that I can, through my interpretation, through anybody's interpretation, we can help sing that song back to the soul so it can stand in its power, feel seen, feel heard, feel loved. Yeah.
That's one thing that was so helpful for me, that I'm surprised as anyone else that I adore astrology, but it was because when I'm having a difficult time, when I was having a difficult time, astrology could tell me, yeah, it's okay. Like it was like written in the stars rather than kind of put upon me. It was kind of like, this is part of the plan. And it was the thing that could help me say, okay, because like that's just what I needed, was that it had some kind of purpose, or that I wasn't just being put upon by the universe, and because it kind of felt that way in a way, but it was like, oh, um, that feels like that's supposed to be there. Like you can tell, because there was times with you, I've had my star chart. I mean, they would bring up years. What happened in this year? What do you mean? You feel so seen, because you're like, yeah, that was a year. That was a difficult year, or those were some difficult years. And it just gave me some grounding. It felt like, okay, this is what I kind of planned and chose and wanted, or is a possibility for me for growth. It has some anchoring to it rather than that chaos. And so it has, as much as people might think that astrology is woo-woo, it really is what helped ground me, honestly, during the difficult times. And so I'm always shouting, go get your chart done, go get your chart done. Because then you'll know, it's like, okay, this is where I'm at. Let me ground myself. Let me see where I'm at, and what I need to do maybe next, or what's coming, or what I've been through, or what just gave me a picture almost. And and you do need somebody to describe it, because it's kind of crazy, but
so I think when I think about like transits and the weather around us, I love the evolutionary astrology approach, where it's like, this is your forecast. You might have some cloudy days. You definitely need some FBF, and so it's an opportunity. It's what you're kind of aware of. And so when we know, like, I just love thinking about our own birth chart as like this clock. I think Christopher Renstrom talks about the cosmic clock. And it's like our little clock fits into this ginormous clock that we have no understanding of. But we all have certain things we go through because the planets go around. We know they're predictable. We have something called an ephemeris, like a bus schedule. We know exactly when things are going to go where. It's just fascinating. But as an astrologer, I need, even for me, just to say, okay, got my Chiron return coming up, or you know what I mean? It's like, it's that knowledge. And so then I know, okay, so I might need to step into this a little bit more. I might need to put like big girl panties on, or hey, like this is a chance for, like, for example, when I was in Stephen Forrest FCA school, they'll pick somebody to do like a nodal chart reading, and he's got like a wait list for like 3 years or whatever.
Wow.
And they pick me, and I'm like, I got to go look at my chart. And like Jupiter was right on my sun. I was like, I got lucky. It's sparkly. You know what I mean? So just having that context, because I think the more conscious we are, the more we can say, this is happening for me versus to me. Because I mean, when there's sometimes that people get stuff piled on, and it's like the dark night of the soul. Yeah. But the thing is, all things pass. We can take learning from it. It's going to suck when you're in it, no question. I'm not downplaying that at all. But also the timing. So it's like, okay, yeah, so this transit is going to be about a year and a half, depending on these direct hits. But I can tell you when the direct hits are. I can tell you that this is how you're going to be able to integrate it. An astrologer can kind of look at the chart and be like, hey, these are some of your big time strengths. And guess what? You've got this in spades. So like, let's lean into this part of this to help you, step into that. So, yeah.
I love that. I would say most of us probably started with a horoscope, either for their age, it was in the newspaper.
Sassy magazine.
Yeah.
Do you remember that?
Yeah, 17. Yes, I do. But would you suggest people start with like getting their birth chart? Is that a good place to start with astrology?
So I think if you're curious about astrology, oh my gosh, it's like, you walk into this candy store, like the bulk candy store. It's like, I'm going to get some of my gummy bears, and I'm going to get some cinnamon discs. It has something for everybody. So I would say find the type of astrology that you really resonate with. Now, modern astrology is more psychological. It's more about you, like your soul purpose, your nodes, that kind of a thing. Traditional astrology can be very concrete. It looks at you and your personality. That's maybe only 5-10 minutes of it. Then you look at the money, look at your family, your parents, you look at your siblings, you move into your love, romance, destiny kind of a thing, and then your career. And then there's things like Vedic astrology, which is, the Indian Vedic Jyotish astrology, which is a totally different, I mean, it's not totally different. I mean, it's, I don't want to talk about the differences, but, you know, uh,
Okay.
but then there's things like vibrational astrology and galactic astrology. I mean, like, it is just incredible. The purists are probably more the traditional, the Hellenistic, because they're working with this classical planets, but some people work with asteroids, and I mean, it's just so. I think so you need to find an astrologer that you resonate with, that you connect with, I think, because, there's so many apps now where you can like look at stuff, but it's somebody's interpretation of that. And the one thing I found through studying through so many different people is, people can have their opinions about stuff, right? And there are some definite truths, but then there's some leeway. And what a good astrologer does is they learn the techniques, they learn what it means, but then you put your own words to it when you work with clients. You see how things turn out. And this might spark this idea, and you say this to somebody. So I think the most important thing is when you find an astrologer, someone who can explain things to you, because I ask people if they've ever had a reading before, and sometimes people are like, yeah, I had one 10 years ago and they said I had Chiron. And it's like, okay, well, everybody has Chiron in their chart. What happened here, right? Like, because like
Yeah.
this, when I was a doctor, like if you came into me and like your belly was hurting and you had like a kidney stone, I'm gonna explain what a kidney stone is, how it works, what happens. So it's gonna like stick in your brain. Because it's like when you go in the car mechanic, it's like, my car's making this weird sound. They figure it out, but you need some education on it. So I think it's important to learn. You don't have to be an astrologer per se to understand astrology, but I think it's important to get that gist of what your personal chart looks like, how that impacts you, how you can grow through it, all that kind of stuff. So having somebody read your chart is very personal to you versus I've got an app that says my Venus is in Virgo, so I like to nitpick my lovers. I mean, I don't know. I mean, you know what I mean?
Right. Yeah, it's night and day difference having an actual reading specific to you than just downloading.
Yeah.
I can tell you that because I downloaded one for each of my kids for Christmas, and it's like, you just take, here's the aspects of Jupiter, here's the aspects of the house. It's so then it repeats. You know what I mean? Like it's
Yeah.
like it's just kind of, you can tell, you're like, okay, so no, those two kids are not the same, and they have that same, maybe not the same house, but it's just totally different. But I want to talk about that because, okay, so first of all, Chiron has come up a couple times. So explain what that is, because I think I said that to Shalene the other day. I was like, Chiron. So tell me what Chiron is. Your Chiron return.
Chiron. Okay, so
Or Chiron, either of them. Yeah.
Yeah, so Chiron is an asteroid, and the idea behind it. So you know how like the gods would come down and like do the wahoo and like somebody get pregnant and like so that happened to Chiron's mom, and he came out and she didn't really want him. She's like he was deformed in some way, and so the story is there's different stories, but my understanding is there's essentially an abandonment. He was placed into a cave, and one thing is that the mom turned herself into a tree in front of the cave. The general idea is he was abandoned and rejected in some way. But Chiron ended up becoming this amazing, like I think he was a doctor, he was a philosopher, he was an astrologer, like just like a Renaissance kind of a guy. And he actually trained Hercules and some of these other amazing warriors. And Hercules went off and he killed the Hydra, but he had the arrow that he had killed the Hydra with or something, and it had poison on it. So he accidentally shoots Chiron in the immortal part. He was a centaur. Sorry, I didn't say he was a centaur. So he's got half immortal, half mortal. So now the guy's got these two huge wounds. He was abandoned at birth, essentially, and now he's got this chronic pain that's he can't escape from. So the recognition is that the human condition has some amount of pain that we can't always completely heal in some sense, and some people say leaving pure bliss, pure amazing, pure everything, and taking on a human body, that separation where we put the veil on, we forget that we're part of love and source and all that, God, all that kind of stuff. We just think we're these humans. That can be that kind of pain. And so where we have Chiron in our chart speaks to the area that we can grow through. So a lot of times we realize, let's say your Chiron's in Aries, which a lot of people are because it's a very elliptical cigar type shape, so it spends more time in some signs than others. So it could be an identity wound, or like not feeling like I'm good enough to put myself out there, or I'm really scared about stuff, because Aries is about courage and like doing something, like you might be, you're probably going to be first. You may not be the best, but you want to be first, right? So when Chiron, basically around between 49 and 51 is kind of when that Chiron return happens. It's kind of really staring that in the face and saying, okay, what are the things I made peace with in my life? What have I not? And as we learn how to heal those things within ourselves or cope with it, sharing that information with other people is that next step. So a lot of times when we're working on those things, it's like, I have some medicine here now. Like I kind of know how to cope with it. So you share that with other people, and that's the idea. So because we also realize that we are actually mortal, and if you hit 50, you're probably not going to get another 50 unless you're like Mediterranean area, blue zone, whatever, right?
Oh, yeah.
So I don't know.
Yeah, just to piggyback. So where my Chiron is, I think one told me that like I might have a speech impediment or something like that, or it could be my communication. It's like in my communication or whatever. And so like every time I hear myself on the podcast, I always say, that's just my Chiron. Like literally, I like, okay, hey, I just am who I am. I just have that, and who knows? Like again, it's an interpretation. Which by the way, really quick, I just want to say, yeah, you can see Karen or both hear and see on episode number 144 on the podcast, episode 86, and then each month of this year, she's been doing a forecast for us every month, and that's been super super cool. And to think that there is like it's a forecast. It's almost like it's just, here's going to be the weather this time. And it's kind of been fascinating to see what's been kind of big this year. So what were some of the biggest things this year that have come up?
Oh my gosh, you guys, this is the first time I've done this, and I'm not a mundane astrologer. I'm so sorry. Like the mundane astrologers are fabulous at this because they'd be like, oh, back in 1967. I'm like, dude, like, how do you keep that in your head? It's incredible. But anyway, but this really, 2025 through 2027, it's just a lot of stuff going on. So many outer planets have shifted into basically, it went from like earth, water, outer planets to fire and air. And that's why people are like, oh my gosh, everything's so sped up. Like, I feel like I can't even like breathe. It's already like next week. And so earth and water is kind of this slower, more, nurturing feeling, and air and fire is like the Energizer Bunny, let's go get it kind of a thing. So it's kind of like so essentially, and the big thing was Pluto coming back into Aquarius, and that had happened. It's basically the United States is, 250 or so. It's 248 years for Pluto to go all the way around, but some interesting things with, the Saturn and Neptune being together, and then Uranus going into Gemini and Pluto going to Aquarius. It's just like a lot of change. So the collective, everybody's feeling it. So and that's what transits are. Everybody's going to feel some of these things, but when it's like these big collective shifts of things, it's just definitely people are aware of it.
Wow. Thanks for sharing that. Okay, I have a question for you. So going back to kind of the horoscope thing, when we were growing up, for whatever reason, the sun sign is like the king, right? We all think about our sun sign, but when we're reading a horoscope and when we're looking at some of these things, when they say like, okay, Pisces, look out for this or whatever, how do you delineate that? Or when you're looking at something, do you always go to your sun sign first, or do you check all three, see which one resonates? What do you think?
Well, I've never written a horoscope myself, but my understanding is you're supposed to look at your ascendant because it's the way they set it up. And Sarah Lahar taught this technique several years ago. I didn't really pay much attention to it. I'm like, I'm never writing a horoscope, but my understanding is you're supposed to do the ascendant because of the way like the houses are set up to get like all those people kind of connected. And so horoscopes are interesting because it's like you're writing for so many people, so it has to be kind of vague in general. So I don't really look at horoscopes at all myself, but it can be fun, because sometimes it might resonate with you. But I do like, what's his name? Oh my gosh, he wrote Pronoia. he's the free will astrologer. He is, I don't know how I stumbled across him, but he is so interesting. He's a very positive kind of a guy. And I just like reading his horoscopes because of the words he uses, and his newsletter is very interesting. He's had some interesting life experiences, and I think he's one of those people like there's I like Caroline Casey and this gentleman. How I'm blanking on his name. I'm so sorry. But I like reading people who really bring their life experience into their astrology, because there's so much. I think the relatability is fabulous, you know.
Yeah.
Bresney is
Oh,
his
good
last
job.
Yeah.
Good job.
Yeah.
Yeah. So when you look at a chart, if you were to Google my chart, you're going to see a circle. You're going to see a circle, and you can see that it's divided into sections. And
Yes.
so and those are called the houses. Is that
Yes.
the way you would say it? Okay. And then do those stay put and then everything else just moves, or are they moving and the other stuff's moving?
Yes. So essentially, your birth chart is a moment in time. And so you take a picture of it, it becomes your fingerprint. Your birth chart never changes. Now, the house system's interesting because I don't know if you've ever looked, but there's a lot of house systems. And some are based on like time, some are based on like latitude, longitude. So what I've heard, and I think makes the most sense to me, is you find a system that works for you, and you just say to the universe, hey, I'm using Reggie-Montana's baby, and it hooks you up, and it makes sense for the people you read for, because there's Placidus, there's whole sign, whole house, there's like all these different types.
Okay.
So house systems can be a little tricky, because if you're getting your chart read by 3 or 4 different astrologers that use slightly different house systems, you might have placements that are slightly different. So how does that work? How can they all be right? I don't know. It's a mystery. But for me, I really feel like the stuff when I work with someone, I use Reggie-Montanus now, which isn't that different from Placidus. It's different, but I have found that I've switched into it, and it's great. So yeah, so your house system will never change, but the planets move around it. They keep moving around it.
So you're saying that the different houses might be interpreted differently depending on who you go to, like what that house entails?
Well,
Or
so
where
you
they
can
set
have
up.
a modern astrology interpretation of a house is different from a traditional, no question. But the houses could shift degrees depending on which system you're using, because they have different calculations for the way things should be. So computer software, thank you, Jesus. I don't think I'd be an astrologer back in the day. I did learn how to. I took the AFA Superstar course. I haven't finished it yet. But they teach you how to do it by hand, and you have to like use this constant, you have to multiply by this, and then you go through all the planets, you see the ephemeris where it is, and you subtract these tiny little degrees, and you see how much a planet's going to move from that one time, so you can put it on the chart. It's so fascinating. So the other astrology, I'm like, amazing. I take my hat off to them.
Right.
Awesome.
Right. Well, we have a question. Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead, Shalane.
I can't see it. Can you?
Oh, yeah. So Linda wants to know, it's so big. When you are learning astrology, how long does it take to start to feel like you're getting it?
Excellent question, Linda. Getting it? I'm still getting it.
Right.
I mean, I really started studying in 2019. Yeah, 2019. Wow. And that's why I'm like, I don't know if I should be putting stuff out there, because I don't know enough yet.
You should.
Don't. Is it the Dunning-Kruger? I don't know. But literally, like I still am learning so much every day, and I'm reading, I'm voracious. And that's the beautiful thing about astrology, is built for lifelong learners. Because I don't think you can talk to any astrologer and then say, oh, I got this. They are still going to the conferences. They're going to the lectures. They want to hear this person's take on that, because that's the beauty. Is like, that's why I'm like, whatever about AI doing astrology, because it's so nuanced. And you want a person with a brain who has life experience, who knows how to put things in such a way that'll make sense to you. Because as an astrologer, you kind of sort of get an idea of who your client is, because you're preparing their chart, right? And then when you meet them, it's always fun. It's always a surprise. I'm like, who does this chart belong to? I can't wait to meet you. And then you meet them, and I just love it, because I would never even have potentially guessed. You know what I mean? Like, it's just so fun, to like talk about things with them. So
Yeah, and I think that's, I mean, when you describe them, you're using a lot of like Greek mythology and I don't know, those kind of things. And that's the thing is that, you know, you're there, it's symbolic. So it's like you're telling a story to
Yeah.
try and kind of get around the idea, but the idea is in the moral of the story, or the lesson is in the story. It's not just about saying ABC. It's the story, and then you step in and you know, and you, both you and your astrologer interpret and feel it in a way. And that's, it reminds me of, there was a every once in a while my kids listen to this YouTube channel, and he's a psychiatrist from Harvard and all this stuff. But one of his videos was like, why do women think astrology works? Or, you know, why do all women love astrology? It's just kind of weird. And he was like, you know, I'm going to say to you guys, you're going to like, why does my girlfriend just like to her astrology? Blah, blah, blah. And he was funny. He's like, I'll tell you why, because it works. He's like, and he said, he's like, look, if you are taking it from looking at your horoscope and saying that didn't happen. But he says, if you go in and you learn it and you understand it, you will say, oh, that's not what I thought. And so, but I thought that was so, I was like, yes, I love the way he said it. He's like, why do they like it? Because it works. And if you don't understand, it's because you don't understand it. That's why that's why you're making fun, because you don't understand it. Because it's that symbolism, it's interpretation, it's cycles, it's pulling and stretching and coming in and going, you know, like there's so much more to it. It's not just a predictor, you know, of your life. It steps into it. It's another world. It's another kind of world.
Yeah, I can tell that it really lights you up, Karen. Like I listened to my birth chart. You recorded it for me, and I get like you're almost giggling, like with just how much you love it, and it just makes me so happy. So, if someone resonates with your energy today and is like, "I want that lady to do my chart," how do they find you? What do they do? What are the next steps?
Oh, so you can go to my website, karensmithcrawford.com, and you can book through me there. I have it set up so I love Calendly because it does the time zone conversion for me. So it's fabulous because then it's like people can pick what time works for them. And I do work with people who, like for example, I'm doing a reading Friday night at 8 o'clock for somebody that's going to be in Australia at whatever time for them on Saturday. You know what I mean? So like I'm flexible. I'm not. Yeah. So if you see a time that doesn't really work, then just let me know. I'm happy to accommodate.
Awesome. Please reach out and get that done. Yeah, I love personality tests, you know, that you always take. And sometimes I get what I want, sometimes I don't. But what I really liked about astrology was like I felt really seen and I didn't have to work for it. Like I just kind of received a lot of information about myself that I've really been able to use. So yeah, astrology, like you said, it works. It's a fun science.
It's a fun science. So lately on your Instagram, which is at Karen Smith Crawford, you have been having so much fun. I just want to come and live your life and see the animals and be like, I think I commented the other day, like, I think you're like an animal whisperer now, because I think there's like a new animal you come across all the time. So how is that, like, what's happening? Is that in your chart that you're gonna like all of a sudden connect with animals this year?
Well, it's been happening. So when I left clinical medicine, I needed to like get some downtime. And there was a squirrel named Stumpy. She was the sweetest thing. She was so smart. I'd be doing the dishes. She'd see me in the tree. She'd run right down over the deck. She'd be like, she would like knock on the, yes. She took mess from our hands and she was around for years. Like, I think it's like a good 3 years. She ended up getting like that dizzy disease and we lost her. So it's really, really sad. But there are so many squirrels that have amazing personalities. We hand feed them. And now it's the chipmunks that have been coming to see us and our buddies. So it's what it is for me. It's time in the quiet and with nature. And then the magic happens because I'm present. You know what I mean? And of course, I have high quality treats like walnuts. Like who's going to that, right? So.
Oh, well, everybody needs to go along for the ride, because I think that's what's so great is that you're fun. You're fun.
Yeah,
You're down to earth. You have lots of knowledge, but you're so relatable, and it's been a pleasure getting to know you. Again, one of our soul sisters that we are just like, I just am in awe that I get to rub shoulders with women, such amazing women, and you definitely are one of them. So we are grateful.
She leads us to other great women too. She's a really great connector. So we're really happy to have you.
Yes.
And one reminder, if you've listened to all this far, I hope you have, if you use the code Karen Crawford, you can get $5.55 off a membership, whatever form you choose on the Wholeness Network. And then you have access to all of Karen's videos that are in there. And she has several that kind of break down a little bit more than what we did today about astrology and about how she works.
Yeah. And one's really, really good where she talks about some really good books. And it's really cool because you could just click right there and get the book, you know, as you're watching. And it's really kind of cool because it is something to study. It's not just something to just dabble in. Like there's a whole lot to do. So she gives you some good books to do that and explains, you know, which ones, what they are, so that you can find which one works for you. But thank you so much for being here, Karen, and for taking care of us and being our friend and lighting the stars up for us.
Oh, you guys are amazing. I love you both. You're so much fun. Thank you.
It's been so great to be with you. Well, everybody, we will see you one more tomorrow. We've got our last guest, so we'll see you same time, same place tomorrow. But it's been great being with you. And everybody have a great day. We'll see you later.